I told you guys why they got rid of Gaddafi, right? The official story that they tell you on TV to brainwash you into supporting the West bombing other countries and killing people and destroying their countries is that, oh, he's a dictator, right? So, I mean, even if you bought that story, what NATO did to Libya is far worse. So if you care about Libya, that's the rubbish. That's the fake propaganda they tell you. Oh, he's a dictator. Oh, he's this and that, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean he's perfect, but the real reason they got Gaddafi is because of the gold, right? So he wanted to use the 143 tons of gold in the Libyan central bank, which Hillary Clinton was talking about in her emails, coincidentally, to create a new currency, which would have undermined the US dollar and the French CFA franc. So both the French and the Americans saw this, and they're like, you're messing with our money. This is the red line. We are coming to get you. And remember that when they tell you NATO is a defensive alliance, right? They're in Libya, bombing facility for the great man-made river. Sure, very defensive. After they got rid of Gaddafi, what happens? You have all these weapons lying around in Libya. Again, I told you before, Gaddafi was really anti-imperialist, man. Anybody that he saw fighting, the British, fighting these European colonial powers, he would just send them boatloads, literally boatloads in boats of weapons and money, right? And this guy had huge, ammo caches and weapon caches. So the CIA, which helped to overthrow Gaddafi, they looked at Libya and they said, wow, this is great. You know what we're going to do with these weapons? We're going to send them to Syria, to Al-Qaeda and groups that are working with Al-Qaeda to overthrow Bashar al-Assad, right? So there was a famous article in the New York Times, August 2017, that it was published, and it says, behind the sudden death of a $1 billion secret CIA war in Syria. And so what they talk about here is Operation Timber Sycamore. Operation Timber Sycamore is exactly what I explained to you now. It's the rat line where the CIA and their contacts and their friends and assets were funneling all of these weapons that, they suddenly had at their disposal in Libya all the way to Syria and making sure that they fell into the right hands, right? Officially, they tell you, no, we never armed any rebels. No. We only gave them radios. We gave them non-lethal aid. Look, we gave them plasters. We promise you, these guys are not extremists. And even if they were, don't worry, it's just radios. Yeah, okay, you're very funny. So they were giving, literally, all these weapons, from pistols to, rifles, to you name it. And then they claim that Donald Trump gets elected and he ends the program. I don't know what that really means, because you're departing from the premise that the CIA only has one rat line program from Libya to Syria. And that assumes that the CIA is not doing anything in Syria, which is obviously untrue. They're still trying to get rid of Assad. And by the way, even if this is true, Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo, what do? They put sanctions on Syria, the so-called Caesar Act sanctions. And what do these sanctions do? They starve Syrians. That's why my cousins call me and they say they have to wait 2-3 hours to get one bag of bread. Or they have to wait 2 days in the fucking gas station. Can you imagine leaving your car in a queue 48 hours to get gas? No, you can't. And that's what Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo have inflicted on Syria. And it's not just them, of course. There are many other countries involved. But, they're helping to destroy the country in the end. Even when the West, they claim not to be arming extremists, it turns out to be a lie. Because all of these weapons were going to extremists in Syria. They were going to terrorists, and the CIA knew about it. And just like right now, the US has a ban, quote unquote, on arming the Azov battalion. Do you know what they would do? Like, this is typical American illegal fuckery. The United States will go and say, like, well, we didn't give them the weapons. We just told them coordinates of where they might find weapons. So technically, that's not arming. Or that group is called Azov Plus. And technically, that's not Azov, so we armed them. This is exactly the kind of crap that they would do. Not that they would have to actually appear anywhere and justify that, because it would be kept secret, of course. But this is exactly how I imagine the the CIA's lawyers trying to go through this, if they actually care to. But this is really how they do it.